up, hammerheads? Welcome back to the forge. Today we are trying to reforge our hard hook because I accidentally deleted about half my footage. I don't know how I did it, but apparently I did. So this is take number 2. Also, the flat barred tong video would not upload the way that I wanted it to. So I'm leaving a link in the description to the original video. Yeah, that was all that I have this go around. Sorry for the crazy over the last couple weeks. But guys, let's start making this hard hook. Alright guys, before we get started forging, I wanted to do a quick reminder to check out the affiliate links in the description. When you support my sponsors and my affiliates, you support me. So thank you for everything, guys. Let's get to it. Alright guys, the first thing we're going to do is flatten down a couple of inches of where we're going to split for our heart. So I'm going to go to about right here. That's about how long I want it to be. If you want a bigger heart, make a bigger heart. I would not go under. I'll measure it. Probably 3 inches. Roughly is about what we have here. From here to here. I wouldn't go below that because you need enough material to scroll around. Now remember, we're using 3/8 round bar for our project. So, gonna come out and I'm gonna mark my line when I come out of the fire with my chisel, and then I will go through and start splitting. Alright guys, so this is where Strong Thighs is gonna have to come in and help you out. If I see any inappropriate comments in this though, I will delete them. I don't have time for that mess, and this is a family-friendly channel. Now I have my piece of aluminum here, but since I'm just making the marks, you don't have to have that down yet. But do get you a piece of flat aluminum, as you can see right here, so when you're cutting through, you're not messing up your anvil. Alright guys, so we got our line established. As you can see, I got my aluminum piece here. Now being able to hold a piece of metal between your legs gives you the ability to use both hands. As I said, I know it looks funny, but it will save you a lot of headache in the long run if you don't have somebody helping you. Now, I've lost my heat. I just want to get those spots cleaned up. So I'm going to split this the rest of the way down, and then we are going to open it up and then start drawing out our tines. Now there'll be a burr, as you can see right here, and I'm going to take a file and file that off once I get it split and opened up. So I'll show you how we do all that. Guys, so this is a farrier's rasp. They use them for cleaning up horseshoes or horses' hooves, not horseshoes. I don't really know a lot about shoeing horses, so, but if you look and find you one of these, make sure it still feels kind of sharp. You can a lot of times contact farriers and people, and they'll either sell them to you really cheap or give them to you. Really handy for what's called hot filing. You're going to heat up the metal and you're going to file across it while it's hot, and this will take off as much material like you're grinding. I mean, especially this aggressive side right here, it is very, very, very handy for that. It works really well for blacksmithing. So see if you can find you a farrier's rasp for whenever you're doing some of your filing, and doing some hot rasping, you'll be able to clean up your material and really quick if you don't have power. All right guys, so I got it split. Now, I left this little portion right here. It's because whenever you draw a heart or have a heart, you have that little sharp section right in here where it is the bottom point of the heart. So now we're gonna heat this up and open it up. All right guys, gonna flatten this down, open this up, flip it around, open this side up. Now don't freak out if when you cut this, these are not perfectly the same diameter thickness. That sometimes turns out to look really, really cool. Gives it a little bit more dimension to it, a little bit more texture. It just looks really nice in the end. So I'm gonna take it over and I'm gonna file these. Just that little burr down right there on the edge. Take about 2 seconds with a file. And then I'm going to put it back in the forge and we're gonna start drawing out our, what's gonna be our heart. All right guys, so we're gonna come out of the fire. We're gonna go right here on where that split is. We're gonna flatten one side down. And we're gonna start drawing that side out. Remember, you're just working 2 sides. You're gonna make a sharp point on the end. If it tries to get off on a little bit, just clean it up. When you go to clean it up, if it tries to get wonky because of where you cut it, turn up on the sharp edge that's trying to get messed up on you and hammer that edge down. And then start hammering it square again. Now I'm gonna go back in for my heat. I'm gonna draw these tines out. All the length that we need it. And then we'll come back and then we're gonna open them back up and we're gonna start scrolling them. All right guys, I got this one the length that I want it. Now I'm just rounding it up. Remember how we round things up is we turn up the edges, the sharp edge, we hammer it down. Then we just go to the other edge, hammer that down, then we start moving the material around. I want to leave that hammer texture in there. I want it to look like it's been forged. Now I'm gonna forge out the other side to the length that I want it. Get it rounded, then we'll come back, scroll everything up. Guys, I forgot to say this. Open it back up, the one side that you just drew out, then hammer down and draw up the other side. Get it the length where it's roughly about the same length as the other one. If it's a little longer, it's fine. If it's a little thicker, it's fine. We're gonna take the artistic approach for this. All right, now I'm gonna round it up and then we'll be ready. All right guys, so let's open this side up. Remember, we had this split right here, so we're going to determine which side's our top. Now, if you do not have a pair of scrolling tongs, I have a video showing how to make them in the description. Or you can use a pair of needle nose pliers. They work amazing. If you cannot get a hold of either one of these, you can get a piece of pipe roughly the size that you want your heart to look like, where the rounded portion is of the heart. And you can hammer around that and then slowly shape it in. So I'm going to use my Bic iron on one part of it, and then I'm going to use my scrolling tongs to finish it up. But get you a pair of needle nose pliers, yard sale, Harbor Freight, Walmart, anywhere. A cheap pair of needle nose pliers for just a couple bucks was a lifesaver to me when I first started blacksmithing with scrolls. All right guys, if you are using a piece of pipe, you might have to use a couple pieces. But I'm gonna start up here at the tip and I'm gonna start hammering this around. I'm gonna stop right there. Now I'm gonna get the other side and start doing the same thing. About right there. All right, I lost my heat, but I'm liking the shape and design it's coming into. So now I'm gonna go back in the fire, finish shaping this a little bit. And again, You might have to use a couple different pieces of steel or a couple different pieces of pipe if you don't have a big iron like I do, or if you don't have scrolling tongs, to get this to where it's roughly the shape you want it to be. It might take a little bit longer, but don't get discouraged. Just keep working at it and you're gonna get it. But you'll clamp those pieces of pipe or in a vise, or if you have a friend that can hold it for you over the edge of the anvil or something, you can do it that way also. But be careful if somebody's holding it, because they might move some. So, I'm gonna go back in the fire, I'm gonna finish rounding it, and then we're gonna pull everything together. All right, guys. Got that right around where I want it. Let me grab my scrolling tongs or your needle nose pliers. Start bending things up. Might get another heat on this one. Yeah, I'm gonna get another heat. Yep, I'm gonna get a little bit more heat so I can get this knocked down and this one knocked down a little bit. All in all though, looking really cool. Now guys, if you're using coal, keep a good check on your hook, or on the heart portion of your hook, because that's a lot thinner metal and you can burn it off and burn one section off. So, giving you a heads up on that. Okay guys, shape that one down, shape this one down. I'm gonna bend that in just a hair. I think that would look better. What do you think, guys? There's our heart. Now, I'm gonna flatten the rest of this down to roughly the length that I want it to be. And then we will start forging out, so I know about how long I want my hook to be. Then we're gonna cut it off. Now, if you don't have a hardy tool, again, cool it down, let it cool down. Cut it with a hacksaw or angle grinder, whatever it is that you're looking for, guys. Whatever it is that you have. So, and then cut it off, and then we're gonna forge out our hook and we'll punch her hole. Guys, all right guys, so let's flatten this down. I think I'm gonna go to about right there for my hook. So I'm gonna stop. My hook is gonna be about this long. If you wanna go longer, you can. Now, if for some reason you hit or do something that boogers up your heart on the end, don't freak out. You can always fix it, okay? No biggie. Now, I'm gonna cut it off. I'm gonna grab our tongs, and I'm gonna grab her and break everything off. So, all right, guys, here we go. Now, I'm not slicing all the way through. If you've never used a hardy tool before, if you go straight through real fast, you can damage your tool. All I'm doing is what's called beaver chewing. I'm just going all the way around it like a beaver does a tree trunk. And I'm gonna get it really thin, like that right there. Then I'm gonna grab our tongs that we forged, and I'm gonna break it off. Now I'm left with a piece that doesn't have an area that is a little bit smaller area that if I need to hot file it, I can. Not going to on this one, but if you cut it off on one side, it's more up to cause a cold shut and can crack right there on the tip. So, go back in the fire, start drawing out our hook portion of this project. I think it's gonna turn out really nice, guys. All right, guys, so I am going to make this more of a flat style hook. So, first thing I'm doing is making my tip, and I'm doing a taper on it. Now, when you're doing a taper like this, work one side of the metal, hammer it flat again, then work the other side so you keep everything centered up. You know, I've done good. I hadn't hit the camera in a while. So we're looking for that right there. One more heat and we'll get it squared up, or we'll get it centered up. Now, I'm gonna flatten everything a little bit more so it's a little bit wider. Then I'm gonna come back, find where I want to punch my hole out, and go ahead and mark that. And then I'm going to make my finial and then make my hook. We'll make it a little bit longer, I think. Yeah, I think I will. So I'm gonna draw this out just a little bit longer just because I think it would look better with a longer hook. All right guys, so I'm gonna draw this out just a little bit because I want a little bit longer hook. Now as you can see, I'm hammering in the same spot and I'm pulling the material back to myself. I'm not hammering all the way down it every time. If I'm working on a small piece, then a lot of times I will hammer down it if I'm only moving it just like half an inch or something. But if I'm working on a piece and really trying to draw it out a lot longer, then I'll hammer in one spot and I pull the material. All right, I'm liking that. Like I said, don't worry if your heart gets a little off. If you want to leave your tines a little straight and bend them up after the fact, you can. I just got excited in a hurry, so. All right, so now I'm gonna make my finial, and I think I'm gonna put my punch for my hole about right here. So I'm gonna make my finial, make my hook, and then mark my spot. All right guys, remember, determine which side's your top so you do not mess this up, because you don't want to try to have to correct this here in a minute. There's my finial. Now I'm gonna come out of the fire, quench my finial so I don't crush it, remember, and then I'm gonna bend my hook over. I'm gonna do a little bit smaller hook because of the size of the heart that I have. If you want to go ahead and punch your hole, you can do that once you get your finial determined, just so you know about the length of your hook and where everything's going to fall. But it doesn't matter, either way is fine. All right, just cooled my finial off, grab my material. Remember, you're just hammering in the one spot, flat. Hold your material, John. There we go. I don't know what I'm doing. There we go. I'll get one more heat on it. Now, flat bar will try to bend wonky on you, so take a moment before you go back in the fire, straighten everything up. All right, guys, gonna hammer back to me. Don't forget to straighten. Like I said, don't worry if your heart gets a little wonky. Sometimes the heart does something wonky. All right, so got it there. All right. Now, you see my hook's off just a hair. So that's an easy fix. That's just a little bit of tweaking. We're gonna go ahead and get our hole punched, get everything done, and then we'll tweak it. All right guys, since we've used our punch a couple times, fill the corners or fill your edges of your punch. Does it still feel sharp? If it doesn't, go clean it up and resharpen it. But as you're punching, remember, turn your punch a little bit each time, so you know if you do have a little bit of a dull edge, it's gonna get moved around and not stay in one spot, and you're gonna have your slug's gonna come out a lot easier. All right, guys. So I want my hole to be about right here. So I'm gonna hit once, and then I'm gonna look at it. Turn my punch, hit again. Then turn my punch and hit again. Turn my punch, hit again. Now it's gonna take a couple times to get drove through there, but once you get going, you can get it drove all the way down. Now, it's bottomed out, and we know that because we could see it on this side. You see the flat part right here? That's where the slug is gonna come out at. So, hammer, turn, Once you're done, cool this down. Then I'm gonna flip it over, come over here, and push it through the rest of the way. Or push it through till it bottoms out on the other side. What you're doing is working that slug back and forth to get it out easier. Like I said, don't worry, we're gonna straighten stuff up. It happens. All right, guys, I'm on the other side. I'm gonna tap this flat just so I don't have to fight it. Remember, hammer it till your punch bottoms out. You'll feel it. Get centered back up. Now, I'm gonna stop and show you, and then I'm gonna reheat it because I'm gonna knock it the rest of the way. You see that slug is done moved down. So I'm gonna heat it back up, and I'm gonna hammer it down one more time from this side because I like going both sides twice just because I feel like it does a cleaner cut. That's my personal preference. Some people don't do that, but that's how I do it. So, but let me go ahead and tap this flat. So I'm gonna come back out, and as you can see, my hook's off just a hair. We can straighten all that up once we get done. Forging takes about 20 minutes. Tweaking takes a lifetime. All right, guys, let's work this slug back down. I see it trying to catch on one side. Look at those things. So you don't end up having a fight with it. But if it does catch, just grab your needle nose pliers and break it off. All right, so now the slug is down all the way on this side. I might be able to knock it out here. Yep, see? And you can see it's almost cut through also. So when I come out, I'm gonna have to go to another hardy hole because this one's too far in the center. But when I come out, I am going to flip it over. We're gonna be over at the other anvil, and we're gonna knock out the slug. All right, guys, I'm over here at the other anvil. Got lined up. Remember, hit and look. Don't just start driving till you know for sure you got it going, because you don't want this to bounce off and you put a bunch of marks all the way down your hook. All right. Let's straighten everything up, which is really just moving this hook over just a hair because it's a little off just right here on the end, and that happens. And then our heart hook is done. Don't forget to cool off your tools. All right, guys, so let's get real for a minute and talk about what we learned today. So we forged our hook again, our heart hook again. Here's the original one. And comparing to them, I made this one a little bigger, but really they're basically about the same. The heart's over to the side a little bit. I just left it like that because I liked it. So let's talk about the construction of our heart hook. First and foremost, right here in the front where this little split is, make sure you have a little portion of material that is not cut all the way through, but the cut mark's there. So you have the bottom portion of your heart. But be careful in that spot because that is a transition and a joint area that's been cut, and it can crack there or break because you've now weakened it the way it's done. So remember that. Also, once you split everything, take it over, take a file, run it across it a couple of times to get rid of that burr. That burr can cause a cold shut, which will make a crack in your material if you're not careful. So remember, clean up as much as you possibly can. Forge out your material. If while you're forging, you see that your material, like on the end, is kind of like widening out instead of squaring up, turn it up on the sharp edge, tap it down. Don't hit it aggressive. Tap it down to where it gets back into shape. So you're going to turn it up on the high edge, like how we do when we're rounding, and you're going to hammer that back down into shape, and then you're going to keep squaring it out. Sometimes when you split something, one side might get a little bit more deformed than the other side. So use that technique to help get everything back lined up. You can draw this out as long as you want to make your heart. You can make as big a heart as you want to. Just understand proportion. If you have a huge heart and an itty bitty hook, it might look weird. Or vice versa, a big hook and a little bitty heart. So you're looking at the design aspect of if you would, and ask yourself, would I buy it if it looked like this? And if you say yes, then continue on the path you're on. All right, now to punching our hole. Remember, when you're punching your hole, and we've talked about this in the other hook videos, hammer your punch all the way down until you feel it hit or feel it bottom out. When you go to drive the punch in the first time, don't just hit it and start driving down. Hit once, look at the hole, turn your punch, hit again. You do that 1 or 2 more times and determine that hole is set. Then you can drive it down, then flip it over and then find where your hole is. You'll actually see, like I showed in the video, that ring or that really good flat spot where the punch bottomed out at and where your slug is going to be. Flip it over, drive it down. And like I said, I normally do this a couple of times because I want to make sure the slug comes out clean. And again, turn your punch as you're doing it so you always have, that you always have a sharp edge of your punch hitting a spot. I've had them to where I didn't turn them good enough and I had a little spot hang on of the slug. All you do is grab your scrolling tongs or your needle nose pliers and break that off. It's not the end of the world. Now, let's talk about this bump right here. That happens because one side of the material was hotter than the other. On a small piece like this, it's really hard to fix. You can heat it up and take like a dropper and cool down this side and then drip this hole out a little bit and it'll make that bump. I personally like it. I think it looks cool, so I'm not fixing it. Be careful though, because you still could crack if this other side here is cooled down also, it could crack one side or both and you've broke your hook. So sometimes you just look at it and say, you know what? It's a design change. But other times you can fix it, just be careful. Now, these are fancy hooks. I mean, that's what it is. It's a fancier style hook. Setting up at a market or setting up somewhere, I would price these somewhere starting about probably $15 and go up from there. If the fancier you make it, the more you can ask for it, even though it's a basic hook. All you did was put a heart on the end of it. So remember that as you're making these guys, you could do 10 more minutes of work and increase your hook value. So if you wanted to leave these square, twist them up or twist them together, I mean, you can do all kinds of things. So guys, tag me. I'm also on Instagram. I'm on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube, of course. But tag me in the comments or do hashtag Refining Fire Forge or Refining Fire. And let me see the photos of the stuff you've made, guys. I love seeing what you guys have done. So that's the video. Again, check the comments for the scrolling tong video and for the flat barred jawed tong video. Words have just been hard today. So you can go back and rewatch those if you want to make those 2 items. You will need the flat bar tongs for the next video, which is going to be our bottle opener. You're going to need a piece of flat bar that's about 1 inch wide by 1/4 inch thick. And you're going to need about, 5-6 inch piece. Might not use it all, but it depends on how long you want to make your handle. So that is the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you on the next one. God bless. Keep hammering.